Real Talk. Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Real Talk. Yan, this is a new project we're launching with our good friends and partners here. And as one of our first episodes, we have a very special guest with us. Yes, Jhett Tolentino. Obviously, you're familiar with him from our other works, but those are different projects. But we're having him here for also our Real Talk episode because there's a lot to talk about. So, Jhett, very quickly, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, obviously, they do have an idea of your long roster of awards and all. But what brought you into the entertainment industry?
Well, it was the place where I was in New York City in 2004 where I started watching Broadway shows. And then by 2010, I've reached about over 1,000 shows that I've seen, and I've realized na wala pang Filipino producer sa Broadway.
Right.
Sabi ko, let me try that because, I have an accounting degree. It's also like a business, and I've produced 18 shows on Broadway in 7 years after that. The rest is history.
And my understanding was you were a blogger critic first, right? Which got attention of people.
Nag-start muna sa pagbablog because, I didn't even think about producing. It's just, I wanted Broadway to create or produce quality shows lang. Yung, syempre, when you pay $100 a ticket, it has to be worth your time
that's
money.
Not cheap.
Yeah.
You've done Broadway, right?
Yeah, and dun sa many years na sa Broadway, he was able to win,
Three Tony, right?
Tony Awards.
And 1 Emmy Award, Grammy, sorry. There we go again. But I mean, they're the four big ones, right? So you're the first Filipino for one and second Filipino for the other one, right? In terms of the records? How many Filipinos have done what you have been able to achieve?
Depende. Kasi pag doon, medyo separate. Kasi when you say Filipino, yung talagang pinanganak dito, nagtatagalog, may Filipino passport.
Filipino-born, Filipino-raised.
So, kung dito lang sa Pilipinas, 3 pa lang kami. So, si Leia,
I see.
Si Leia, ako, tsaka si Clint Ramos.
Right.
But, if you put in yung
Filipino-Americans,
marami.
Ilan bang Filipino or Filipino-Americans have had free Tony? Yeah?
No, marami. Because, there's Bobby Lopez who did Avenue Q.
Right.
Double EGOT na yon.
Jeez, ang dami magaling pala.
And then of course you have Darren
Can you explain the EGOT, the big four? And
EGOT is Emmy, Grammy, Tony, and Oscar. So Emmy is for television, Grammy is for music, Oscar is for television, and Tony is for stage. So So in the full spectrum of entertainment, if you got the EGOT, there are only 21 individuals in the whole universe who have accomplished that.
It's a magnificent 21 or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you have a special pride? I mean, I know you said something like walang masyadong producer na Filipino, but did you have a special pride as a Filipino in the American entertainment industry because we're supposedly doing well, right? I mean, Filipino Americans, the Filipino community is quite vibrant, successful, right?
Yeah, for a while because kaya nga nung 2013, yung first win ko, when I was running towards the Radio City Music Hall, all I could think of is just the last Filipino that was on stage to receive a Tony. So, medyo nag-boost na ng confidence, and then of course, in terms of pride, because I represent the business side.
Which is different from the talent. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
What I like about the business side is that I can produce 5 simultaneous shows in one season. So parang gano'n. Kasi limited lang naman if you're on stage. Of course, you have to do it 8 times a week.
So management-wise, how many Filipino-raised people have done what you have done? Is this a singular achievement?
Well, sa ngayon, the other musical is coming to Broadway. So there are a bunch of Filipinos who have jumped on as co-producers.
Since your achievement?
Yeah. So this is the first time. Multiple na sila. I think there's about 10 of them. So...
Right.
Yeah. I'm happy to have sort of
the door.
Exactly.
Galing.
So it's about time. 10 years na akong nagpo-produce, and it's about time that Filipinos have to rise up.
I would like to ask that, what does it take to produce a Broadway show? Anong kailangan? Of course, yung sa money ba, and yung sa anong skills do you need to have to be a good producer?
Yeah, I can't speak on the behalf of those who are producing or trying to produce. In my experience, I think my advantage is that I have an accounting degree.
Right.
So that's basically that. So I know how to interpret numbers. I know how to do the recoupment chart. I know knowing the market, the demand, what kind of content to push out, and which stars, right? Kasi may mga star meters sa United States. And also...
Can you explain that, like the star meter?
Oh, star meters, usually you can just find them on IMDb Pro.
Right.
You have to subscribe that.
Right.
And the smaller your star meter, the higher you are on demand.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so kung nasa 3 digits ka lang, 100 to 900, mataas ang rating mo.
Parang it's like your 95th percentile,
yes,
right? Your
that means
5%,
your agent can demand certain compensation because of your hotness. You're like also a commodity. Kasi nire-review yan ng merong ganyan. And there's also that 100 club that we call on Broadway. So actors who are asking $100,000 a week pay.
Minimum, right?
Minimum. Yeah, so merong mga ganun. And the other thing, because I started as a blogger,
right?
So I don't take anyone's word na, oy, magaling to. I have to watch it, I have to read it, I have to listen to the demo of the soundtrack to see for myself. Let me be the judge of that. So I don't take anyone's word for it. I practice the due diligence to putting my name in a show. Because to me, that's what I only have is my credibility in choosing. So none of my 18 shows have bad reviews from the New York Times. And as a producer, that's a very tall order. So that's how to me, I look at as a fresh content. If it's a revival, something new. The other one is it marketable enough? Is this current, or, and then is it critically, will it have a critical success? Because critical success also can equate to box office magnet.
Right. Or compensate for potential lack of box office. At least you got, an Oscar. I mean, sometimes it happens, right? Like it doesn't do well commercially, but at least...
because critical acclaim would also mean almost leading towards the awards, like the the Tonys,
the Big Four,
of course the Grammys and all that stuff.
How difficult was it for you to enter itong pagpaproduce sa Broadway? And what was your first breakthrough show?
It was kind of hard, again, because I started from my blog, and then I started getting invitations from Broadway producers because they've heard about me. And then I went there as just to take the experience. And then I've met those people that I panned in my review. So those are horrible experiences that I don't want to go back to. But the adjustment, I realized right away that my words have hurt some people, those who don't have sense of humor. And I just operated on, parang nakisama na ako sa cause ko na Broadway should only produce quality shows. So I operated on that.
Right, the quality control part of that,
So, and then, of course, along the way, I've met these producers who think like me. So we have like a little tribe of producers who just want quality content.
So you got together and you produced
it started off as a consortium. And then from there, I've realized
what's your first project again?
The very first one was, the very show that gave me the courage to produce on my own was Kinky Boots.
Right, Kinky Boots.
And then the very first show that I produced on Broadway was with Sigourney Weaver, Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. So my very first show won the Tony right away.
Right.
Galing.
Big bang agad. Did
Yeah.
that create a sense of a psychological pressure? Because usually if you get success very early on, and you think maybe it's just beginner's luck, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and it puts pressure on you on your next show. Or no, you're just like, I'm pro, let's go to the next one, let's do it as good as we can.
No, to be honest with you, there was a degree of confidence in my choices. Because when I picked my shows to produce, I've like already, it passed through me.
Yeah, na filter na.
Exactly.
Yeah, my filtration.
Because I operated as a critic, mainly.
Right.
And then not just because I was a fan of someone. I mean, I'm not a fanatic over anyone at all. Yeah.
You just take them based on their merit and,
Exactly. It's all about the show, it's the entertainment, and what impact could it leave to the audiences?
I have a question. Are there other people who also were there like templates who like transition from critics into producer or something like that? Or is that something unusual?
Not too many. I mean,
like usually critics stay as critics, right? They enjoy it. That's the life. It has its own cottage industry, right? for you to make like accounting to critic to producer, that's quite a big transition, right?
Yeah. Well, again, to me,
Which gives you this 360
I have a
degrees
business
views.
mind. I have an accounting degree. So to me, mostly those who stayed as critics, maybe because their training was mainly into
Arts.
exactly or liberal arts, or but I'm an accountant by
Think about
profession.
numbers
So,
and
yeah, parang gusto ko lang i-apply
Right.
yung sense of, I didn't know what it was before.
Right.
I call it knack. It's a knack of choosing quality shows, and then I apply. I bring in my savviness in business. So that's what
Were
it
there
is.
like naysayers or people that kind of, put you on the edge?
A
like,
lot.
Like, I have to put this ones in the right place.
A
Itong
lot.
mga walang belief sa akin, in-underestimate ako kasi Pinoy ako, kasi hindi ako born in the US, kasi, I don't have the pedigree and credentials. I'm sure, because naysayers give you a lot of energy, right? They give you that dark inspiration that sometimes works very well for you, right?
Lucky enough, well, again, maybe not into my face. So my colleagues who are generally Jewish, they hardly say that, but it's actually the other Pinoys that would somehow.
Parang the idea is that only isa sa atin ang pwede maging star? Is that like parang scarcity mindset?
No, it's
like,
not that, because again, I just
came out of
shut-
nowhere.
Exactly,
Yeah,
that's the right
that's what
word.
I'm
I came
saying,
out of
yeah.
nowhere, and they not too many people, or most people don't know about me.
Yeah.
And all I can say at the end of the day is I am just here to entertain, quality entertainment.
parang napag-usapan din natin before na yung hindi masyadong nabibigyan ng attention ng mainstream media natin dito, yung mga panalo ni Jhett kasi
Belated though, right? I mean, there was a correction eventually. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because just to be clear about this, Jhett, I mean, we have a lot of people, world-class Filipinos, like chess player, right? One of them defected to another country totally because where's the love and support? We almost lost Obiana, right? Our, one of the most, one of the most talented. I'm glad that at least some folks stepped in. Like, we have had very unfortunate situations whereby either we lost or we almost lost world-class Filipino talent. So, can you tell me your share of the story? So, at the same time, I want to make you feel na hindi ka nag-isa, but at the same time, like, sige lang, like, let it be, like, let it on,
Well, again, my first win in 2013, Philippines was so quiet. And then the following year, when I won 2 Tonys in one night, then I had a chance to dance with Hugh Jackman at the closing number. Paglabas ko ng Radio City Music Hall, andun na yung mga Filipino press. Like, how does it feel to win a Tony, blah, blah, blah. And then again, I have to be honest. And then I just said, you should have asked me that last year kasi iba ang feeling eh.
Yeah, the first time.
Kasi I wish it would have been like celebrated. And not because it's me, yung sa akin, kahit sino. Kasi gusto kong magbigay ng good news sa Pilipinas.
And put us on the map, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And inspiration din para sa
hindi
mga
nangyari yun. And then, so imagine, that was 2016 pa ako na-recognize ng Pilipinas.
And that's the context. You and I became very good friends, right? Yeah, but what is your diagnostic of that? I mean, anong dahilan para sa'yo na medyo belated yung recognition? Is because we don't have the infrastructure that recognizes Filipino world-class talent? It's not part...
Perhaps, but the way I see it, there should have been an agency.
Yeah, to look out for...
An agency or a small department that would look out to those who make waves internationally.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Kasi doon naman lang tayo namamayagpag eh. Parang parati na lang tayo late news.
Yeah, I mean, because I come from Cordillera, so although I'm not Cordillera, I'm like Ilocano, my mom said, but like there are some Facebook pages that talks about Cordillerans all around the world, like one of the youngest lawyers in the world from New Zealand, Cordilleran background. So I was wondering, like, we have that at the level of, ethno-linguistic groups in the Philippines, like successful Ilocanos, successful Visayas. But you're right. I mean, we should have something like that, especially in mainstream media for successful Filipinos. Not hindi lang yung sikat and celebrity, but like really successful, whether it's math and sciences, whether it's arts, whether it's production, just to give us that sense of confidence. Because I'll just be honest about it, Jhett. Like, one of the problems with us Filipinos is sometimes we don't appreciate what we already got, right? We're always talking about what's lacking, what's not there. But we already have so much talent there, and it's proven at the highest level, right? Did you air your frustrations in the first year when you didn't get did you share it with other Filipinos? Did other friends in the US kind of try to commiserate? I don't know how to put it, right?
Well,
were you open about that frustration factor?
I have accepted the fact that my story wasn't prioritized because I never competed in my category independently or individually.
Oh, so
right?
because it's a group effort.
It's a group,
I see
right?
what you're saying,
Again, my thing about that is even before my parents met, these awards were already given to people like me. So I didn't particularly make this category for myself.
Right.
It just so happened that to me, that was my representation for the Philippines because nobody else was doing it.
You had the flag.
Exactly. I actually
That's
would
my
go
point.
to my...
I mean, you had the flag. It's in your face.
Yeah,
right?
I would go to my board meetings almost every day with a lapel, Philippine flag. Yeah. So,
did you have like a wardrobe of like, lalabas ko itong mga to. May ganun ba?
Yeah, of
like,
course.
May Batman suits there dahil take out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you're in that world, especially it's very polarizing that once you're photographed with a certain outfit, you can't really use it again.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thankful.
OOTD lang na.
Yeah, I'm thankful to those Filipino designers who have reached out to me in the United States.
You want to name names or, I don't think we mind.
Oliver Tolentino.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, we don't have any restrictions.
Yeah, Oliver Tolentino dressed me all the way from my Olivier in London to the Tonys and Grammys. And
I'll ask a bit of a sensitive question because, a lot of us have a lot of experience in the West, in the academy, in my case. I have friends who studied through and through, and, it's a bit sensitive. But some say there's some sort of prejudice sometimes against Asians or against Filipinos, or, sometimes it's hard, especially at the upper echelons, whether it's in the academic world, whether it's in the political world, whether it's the entertainment world. What was, in the realm of, what you can talk about publicly,
you are knocking into the Pandora's box.
Yeah. But no, because we have to be honest about it. Because I want to talk next about our Asian moment in America, right? There's now an Asian moment, right? But can we talk about, a bit honest, because I don't think we talked about that before in other platforms.
Well, Filipinos are known...
This is real talk, remember?
I know, right?
This is real talk, so that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, Filipinos are known to be the Latinos of Asia, right? Because we're not... Again, we're separated from the Asian continent every so often. We're not quite welcome by the other Asians.
I see.
Again, this is just my
your experience. We're just talking about your experience.
We are the only Asian in the United States, Asian group, that we have our own month. Filipino Heritage Month is celebrated every October. The ibang Asians, wala. Blended tayo during May. May is Asian American History Month, Heritage Month.
Right.
So, and then eto tayo, parang, again, my counterparts, again, they don't address that. But the way I feel about it is just because parang, we're sort of like self-promoting a bit. I know it's important to celebrate the history over there, especially the contributions of the first farmers in 1930s, right? The 3,000 farmers that went to the United States. Right. The beginning of the Philippine migration to North America.
Carlos Bolosa and all of that, that whole world. Yeah. I read a lot about that.
Again, the Chinese were there first, actually, Chinese, Japanese, and when the United States stopped them, and then that's when we got in the 30s. So, I don't know. That's why when there are some organizations about Asians, mostly East Asians.
But
we're not quite there yet.
Okay, so if I were to a bit spell it out, you're just saying that feel ng ibang Asian Americans that Filipinos are medyo nagmamaganda, no? Or that we're getting special treatment in America or something like that?
Somehow. And then here we are in the entertainment industry. Nangungulila tayo. Iniiwan na tayo ni Cambodia. Iniiwan na tayo ni Thailand. Alam mo yun?
No, we will talk about Philippines. Sure, but let's still be at the gold standard level, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a story of a Filipino raised person, Filipino educated person operating at the gold standard in Broadway industry, in entertainment industry in America. So we're trying to understand how is it for Asian Americans and Filipino Americans like you to operate. What is the sense of, I don't know if I can call it solidarity with other Filipino Americans? Now, I kind of understand the tensions you're talking about, because we'll talk about it shortly, because my sense is like, when a Vietnamese or Korean or Japanese, there's some sort of a solidarity going on there, despite all the nationalism problems here in this part of the world. But among Filipinos, is there enough solidarity? The reason why I say this, Jhett, is this. Of course, I'm coming from more politics, foreign policy side. So we have a huge Filipino community, like 5 million almost by some. 6 million,
in
right?
North America. Yeah.
Exactly. So huge, right? And yet, if you look at the influence of the Philippine-American lobby on American foreign policy, it's incomparable to what Indians have or Israelis have, etc., whose population is not too different or way smaller than, or the Vietnamese lobby in America is quite strong, especially the South Vietnam people. And I always wondered, like, why is the Philippine-American community not as influential? Like, how many Filipino-American congressmen or senators are out there?
There are quite a few, actually. To me,
but are they organized as a bloc pushing for Philippine-US stronger? Yun nga eh, that's my point. It's a caucus I'm talking about.
Per city, the LA delegation is really the dominant one.
Right.
Their cooperation and collaboration is, I mean, they make waves in North America. Yeah. It boils down to our very cultural, you know, our ancestors killed our heroes, right? Yeah. So, I mean, from that narrative by itself, we can't really get away from that. The envy is embedded in our culture. But where I come from, the way I see it, you gotta have to stay inclusive. Inclusive, not just within the Filipino community, but throughout the Asian community, because we can never sell by ourselves. Again, there's just one latest film that came out. It's all Filipino cast, funded by...
Is the Jokoy one?
Yeah, Easter Sunday.
You know the Jokoy one?
And Spielberg lost money there. So that's the biggest example.
Oh, you're saying not enough solidarity and support went for that?
It's that, well, maybe the movie is questionable. I'm talking about because like the rest of Asians...
they didn't rally.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the film was specific enough just for Filipinos.
It was too Filipino than rather Asian.
Was it supported by Filipinos in the States? Or hindi din masyado?
What is your read? Yeah.
Not so much because again the movie was
I heard about it and then I didn't hear much about it again afterwards. Like I just Jokoy wave all Filipino
to me, my conclusion is that we can never sell by ourselves yet. We're not the Koreans, we're not the Japanese, we're not the Chinese. So we have to blend in. We have to collaborate with them in order to sell slowly.
Aren't we big enough? I mean, like 5 million, 4 million Filipinos in the US or something? Like,
well, that's a tall order because if you equate that by box office, again, it didn't translate. We have to continue developing what exactly.
Or maybe
it's about
tweaks.
the content also.
Yeah, maybe bring in some Vietnamese, some Korean, some Asian, make it just like the Middle Easterns, like the Persians, the Arabs, the Turks, they kind of mix it up, right? So it makes it so you get a bigger market, and then of course the Middle Easterns are similar to like Latinos. They bring it. So I sense like they do that also with other regions, right?
Yeah, it's like Shang-Chi.
Exactly.
Shang-Chi.
Right.
That's Malaysian, Korean, Chinese.
Crazy Rich.
Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Again, bring everyone.
So you think that's the formula of maximizing the momentum that's already there?
You have to because everything is political. I mean, it might not be expressed, but it's all silent.
But it's powerful. It defines reality.
Exactly.
Right?
Who do you have?
Exactly.
That's it.
And speaking of, the joke is you put 2 Filipinos, you get 3 organizations out of it, right? Like that's what I always hear in the US. Like it's like where is the Filipino organization? Are you kidding me, Richard? You put 2 Filipinos, you get 3 organizations. So which one are you talking about? Like we're gonna have a problem here. So my sense is it's probably as bad in the entertainment world because you're talking about big egos, a lot of subjectiveness, a lot of aesthetic,
Well, again, you have to avoid egos.
A lot of divas, I suppose.
You have to avoid those. Life's too short.
How do you deal with the ego problem? I mean, it inevitably comes with some success, right?
Yeah, well, I take note of those people who have egos. So, and I just don't want to work with them.
And you check your own ego too, right?
I don't have ego, Richard. I don't know if you know that.
Wala siya.
It's a sign of ego if you don't know that you have an ego, right? Self-awareness, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So how do you make sure that you stay grounded, if I can put it nicely? Yeah.
I always remember where I come from. And where I want to be, because my origin will not change,
no matter what.
Not change, and it doesn't define me as well.
Right.
Life's a journey, and you gotta have to take so many leaps and bounds in order to find out.
Yeah.
Because even if there's like a book so many books you'll read, each of us, I've said this before, each of us we have our own path that we have to tread on.
Right.
And even if you find someone on the same path, don't cross them.
I want to ask something before we transition to, I think, what I feel is very important for the Philippines entertainment industry in an increasingly globalized, internationalized landscape. I mean, just the other week, I had a chance to talk to a childhood friend of mine after 21 years or something like that. And we were reminding each other of how far we have come, or maybe not, right, throughout the years. Do you have that experience, like meeting people and say, "Oy, Amerikano yung accent mo ngayon, no? Social ka na." Do you have people like that? Like, speaking of being grounded, though, like talk about how much you have changed, or can they relate to you? Do you have like reunion, with high school friends back in Iloilo, right?
Not so much, because to be honest with you, since high school, I've been trying to speak English with my friends already.
So, like
we were so odd group, though, like people thinking, "Oh, who do you think you are?" kind of thing. But
so you were the mean girls.
So no, we were not.
Hindi naman.
We were just trying to develop ourselves for the future.
Yeah, you're right. Especially during the time, right? And you're not all. I'm just saying, like, nowadays, sobrang uso yung Taglish, like, nosebleed if you speak English.
Oo.
That was not the case
Kasi
10 years
dito
ago.
nga, di ba? Pag bibo lang yung bata, medyo matalent.
Yeah,
Minsan, kinukurot sa public, ang harot-harot mo, ganyan. Sa US, ano pa yan?
Yes, you're encouraged.
You know?
It's the opposite.
Exactly. Kaya yun, doon pa lang yung self-confidence ng bata, sira na eh.
Yeah.
Tanong ko lang din, di ba, after your success sa Broadway, you decided to go into film naman. So, paano nangyari yung transition na yon? How did you move into that?
I fell in love with the filmmaking industry because I've realized I will only do films in short period of time, and they live on forever, digitally. Yeah. On Broadway, I was there.
Right.
We have to come up with a weekly budget, 8 times a week, yon. Diba? So, it was too demanding for me. And I've realized in life, we have to seek professional advancement on how we can work smartly.
Right.
Not work hard.
So more ephemeral, transient, while you wanted something like, life is short, art is long.
Exactly. And in filmmaking, I can actually maximize my time. I can make 3-5 films a year.
Right.
Rather than just getting one show and I'm only being like stationed in one corner of the world.
Right.
In films, the universe is small.
Yeah. So how was your experience in doing yung mga unang films?
Great. I mean, my short documentary, we shot that in 9 countries. I loved it. Even if we did it for 3 months. And then, I think it's digital. Anyone can access it because I did my documentary because I got so sick and tired of the press asking me, what's your life story, blah, blah, blah. So I just sent them the link and here you go. And then for feature film, so to me, this is my answer to the Asian hate. So everything, I have converted all my content to Asian content. Even if I had white writers who wrote a particular script or a white director, I talk to them. I talk to them, I listen. This is where I'm coming from and I'd like this to be Asian. Would you be okay with that? And, overwhelming, yes, they said yes. And even it was like, Jhett, you're taking my job as a director. I said, well, I have to make space for my community. Right? Because for the longest time, disadvantaged talaga tayo. So if I'm not gonna stand up and provide such opportunities for our people, who else will? Right? It'll be like business as usual. I've realized some of the companies in Hollywood, all they do is just for optics, just for token Asians.
Diversity.
They put their cast all Asian, blah blah blah. But you look at the company.
The management, the production.
The decision makers, they're all white.
Still the same guys.
So how do you think about yung recent success nung A24 na studio? Diba yung movie nila won a lot of awards, tapos yung series nila sa Netflix, yung Beef, is really good then. So how do you feel about yung success nung mga
Well, again, I appreciate A24 because they are a very independent group. They started producing very small and they finally got their first $100 million box office, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then they rolled out Beef. They just came out with a new film, Past Lives. I appreciate them. I appreciate this company who are focusing on Asian content, right? I'm coming on also throwing my hat in the ring at least, but I want to be authentically Asian, from the money to the management to the rollout. That's just my representation, because I'm so sick and tired of the Asian hate in North America.
And us not getting our fair share of, the full spectrum.
Yeah, because like
production.
people would wear T-shirts, they get out, America is full.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And
They
this is
have
in
that.
liberal states.
Exactly.
And it's not even in like, let's not name those states.
And then
right?
they would have shirts also, you don't belong here.
Jeez, yeah.
So again, I can't protest everything but to me, those are just white noise by the end of the day. To me, how I protest or express my sentiment on that is creating
Success.
art, creating films that will live on forever.
And success shuts them down. Speaking of kind of a Hollywood, all Asians, of course, Crazy Rich Asians. Again, can you tell for some of our audience, sort of, what was your conspiratorial role there? Because we had one of our own, Chris Aquino, and she's doing fine now, right? So I think it's good to talk about Chris Aquino again. Can you remind us again about the drama behind it? Sorry if I always come back to this, because I think this is important.
Yeah, going down memory lane, just a brief one. A colleague of mine in Hollywood told me that Kevin Kwam, who's a friend of mine, asked me if I've heard of Crazy Rich Asian, and I was like, what is that? I don't read novels, I read scripts. And they were like, oh, Warner Brothers is buying Kevin Kwan's and making it a film. I said, okay, so what do you want from me? And they're like, we're looking for these particular roles if you have someone in mind. I said, all right, tell me what they are. And then I said, you're describing Chris Aquino. And they were like, yes.
Art imitates life, right?
Exactly. And they were like, oh, can you get her? I said, of course. I've never met Chris Aquino before, so that was an outlie, a white lie para sa bayan. Doon yung inisip ko, because I know Warner Brothers is a big franchise, and I wanted a representation there.
Sure.
And I only had 24 hours to get Chris Aquino to submit an audition tape. And it happened, and I'm happy it rolled out. Kahit yung ibang Pinoy, syempre, hindi naman masaya, sinabi lang na dinaanan ng camera, blah, 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 blah. But the thing, it happened.
She's dynamic. I mean, how was working with her, I don't know, over phone? 24 hours, like what was it?
Well, yeah, I operated in 4 time zones at that time. I had 3 weeks of no sleep because I had to adjust to close the deal and all that. But it's done. That's all. It's a feather in my cap now.
Yeah. And you think that set the tone for hopefully more Filipino?
Yeah, that's one of my things. I was like, oh my God.
Kimchi for Mulan, right? Was being considered. Was it really?
Yeah, and it was, again, that gave me actually the courage of, I've realized that I have quote-unquote clout in my own space.
Yeah, the clout factor.
Because I have seen all the audition tapes from the Philippines. I didn't represent them. I only represented Chris Aquino. And I was very adamant of her getting into the film, and it happened. So, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my network? I've worked with Denzel, Oprah, Ricky Martin, all these greats, Cindy Lauper with King Ibu. So I was like, how can I bring Philippines into this? And then yung mga artists natin, sila na sumusulat sa akin. Like, Jhett, help us. Can you help us cross over? Can you take us from here?
Right.
So that's when I realized, oh my God.
You have a responsibility.
Yeah, because like all this.
A lot of people,
So then, because of them, I've realized that all my hardwares, I call them my hardwares. Those are my past life. I have to look forward in where I can bring the rest of the Filipino artists.
Jhett, we'll have a different episode. We'll discuss about the Philippines entertainment industry, its state of affairs, etc. But for this episode, because we want to talk about the gold standard, nowadays we no longer just talk about the Hollywood as a gold standard. Korea has emerged as a kind of an alternative. Although for me, Korea is more like a derivative rather than an alternative. Can you tell me what is your analysis as an industry insider of the ingredients that has contributed to Korea's emergence as a superpower entertainment? I mean, they're really a superpower. I mean, right? And 10 years ago, if someone told you Korea will be where it is today, even as someone who's like into taekwondo and the Korean word for it, I would have said, I'm not sure about that. But it's amazing how far they have come. But it's not by luck, right? It's not by chance. A number of things contributed to that. What is your read of that? Because I think the Filipino audience should know more about this.
Yeah, well, I did my research on this. And did this not happen over time? You have to go back to the late 80s, actually, when a certain Mickey Lee started investing in the independent
Mickey Lee,
M-I-K-Y Lee.
This is the Lee family, the
Samsung.
the Chable, the Samsung family.
They own supermarkets and
everything, electronics,
grocery, pharmaceutical, but mainly the source of money for the family is the Samsung brand. You know, television, refrigerators, cameras, telephones, and you know, because of her individual contribution to the independent Korean films, her name made waves to Hollywood. So in 1993, when Spielberg was looking for a savvy investor, Spielberg sought her for a meeting, and that was it. And she was part of the fund that created the SKG group. That gave birth to DreamWorks. So again, it didn't happen overnight. And I'm so thankful. She's like my hero because she gave me a blueprint on how to do my proposed company that I'm trying to do now. And then
can you tell me more about Mickey Lee? Like, what's her background? Did she study in the U.S.? It's like, where is this coming from? Is this
she went to Harvard.
Niche?
Yeah, she went to Harvard with business, but she's now based in LA. And then of course she tried to learn from her investment to Steven Spielberg. For the rest of the 90s and early 2000s, she decided to create her own because her vision was to invest in Korean artists, train them based on her experience in Hollywood, export them and bring the money back into Korea.
That's it.
That was it.
Exactly.
And then, so that's why she created CJ Entertainment. And anything you can think of, the very first group that she rolled out was BTS.
Which is a global phenomenon.
You get to the company holding on top of all these groups.
For the purpose of the audience, like, give me the big productions thanks to Mickey Lee in one way or another. So BTS, obviously.
BTS, Blackpink. Of course, she did Parasite. And of course, Squid Game. So
practically anything think about Korea.
Yeah, you check her out on IMDb Pro. I mean, CJ Entertainment, her company, makes content 17 a year.
It's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
It is.
I checked it out. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
And again, I just want to touch on
she's like the godmother of Korean global industry.
That's what I'm trying to find here in the Philippines.
Which will be a separate episode, of course. Can you tell me more about that? So I understand you're talking about the business side, the pioneering side, but what do you think artistically is helping the Koreans to be as successful? Like, what's there? Is there an authenticity or is there a fusion aspect there? Is it the plots?
Budget?
Is it production value? Support? Can you explain that? Yeah.
It's a mix of everything. First of all, again, Mickey Lee has been there already. She's been working closly with Steven Spielberg.
The pioneer.
From the best.
Exactly.
The pioneer,
and she was pushing for, pushing for excellence in everything that she does. Production value. When you say production value, the Koreans don't blink. Okay? When you say palace, when you say costume. I mean, you've seen all the K-dramas. Yeah, that's how they do it. There's no cutting of budget because she knows what Hollywood wants.
Right.
So you can tell with the production value na hindi sila nag-shortcut.
Within a few minutes, right? Or seconds even,
give it 30 seconds, the kind of cameras they use, and they operate on the same auspices of the union in Hollywood.
In terms of labor standards.
Exactly, because once you have a happy set, it will it will transform into the film and into the content.
Yeah.
You gotta make everyone happy. Walang overworked. Walang hierarchy. You have to treat everyone as equals.
Walang diva,
Exactly.
Diva,
How about yung government support?
Government, I have to say, this is not coming from me, but Korea is also a corrupt government. It's been proven every election.
How many of their presidents have gone to jail or something?
But the good thing about the Korean government is they allocate a sizable amount to arts.
Right.
A big chunk. They provide incentives.
Yeah.
So
and tax incentives, tax breaks, and
Yeah.
during pandemic, they have
Yeah.
a lot of production. You have the Busan International Film Festival, which is quite successful. And
It's like the can of Asia.
yeah, and so they have like a specific agency department that deals with really promotion of the Korean culture, plus food, no? The Korean food is, so they have food diplomacy, gastro diplomacy, etc. So it's really a package of policies that Koreans are putting together. It's not because maganda yung skin nila or maganda yung ano ba talk or whatever. Or was that too much of a real talk? You know what I'm saying? Like, or you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest. Like, you go and talk to Koreans, they'll tell you more about this, or maganda lang yung visuals, or no. I mean, it's really the full package, right? But for you, you think Mickey Lee was really the Big Bang effect. Like,
and
without her, you don't think Korea would have been where it is. I mean, it would be great, but maybe nowhere as good.
Without Mickey Lee, Korea, you know, it would be still Japan who'll be the number one in Asia. But right now,
that's what.
Right now, just yesterday, an article from Hollywood Reporter came out. The Saudis are coming.
Oh yeah, the Middle Easterns. Yeah, they're coming.
The Saudis are
big.
rolling big budget in their content to make Hollywood films.
And you know, I mean, to speak, I mean, for the Middle East, I mean, they're getting the best football players: Ronaldo, Benzema, Messi. In I think Saudi Arabia wants to be
going to do the same thing. Entertainment,
and they have even more.
Because they also realize that people, however you put it, entertainment is number one man's pastime.
Yes.
So creating content, and again, these are digital products.
Right.
It lives on forever. The revenue stream doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You know, again, as long as you have a good distributor. And Nevada just opened or is pushing for there's
parang Hollywood,
a new Hollywood
there.
Yes,
hub.
And guess who's their number one ally pushing it? Mark Wahlberg. They're rolling out $190 million worth of taxes that they can.
Right.
They're showing this that the state of Nevada can get 190,000.
So are they going to partner with?
$190 million annual revenue from the films that they will make.
Right.
Yeah, because Sony already committed that they will make $1 billion of content in Nevada if that sort of the new Warner Brothers in Nevada would happen. It's the facility. It's, you know, a PPP.
And just to close this episode, I mean, like, Saudi Arabia, of course, a lot of money, even more than South Korea, I would say, in many ways.
Yeah.
But what about the, let's say, middle-income countries? I mean, are there lessons from them? Thailand, Vietnam, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Malaysia, not super rich countries. Because you can always say, first world country, or Saudi, of course. We cannot compete with those guys. Our government doesn't have those resources. But what are the lessons we can learn from more similar countries to us? Let's say, ka-level natin, Thailand, I don't know, something like that.
Well, yeah, you know, on Netflix, they have that Hunger movie.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing,
They don't stop. They don't stop in creating contents that would really take the country to the next level.
Right.
Because, again, Netflix was there, right? Well, Netflix was in the Philippines first in Asia. We were the first country to try. Then they moved to Thailand and they moved to Indonesia. They weren't happy, so they went to Korea.
Right.
And that's where they decided to dump $500 million worth of investment.
Wow.
And just last month, they announced that they're putting another $1 billion investment in Korea.
They're increasing pa.
Exactly. Well, again, you know, it to me, it's hand in hand on education, educating our people. But I'm so happy that the last Metro Manila Film Festival, I think that was a proof that the Filipino audiences have gone smarter.
Yeah, the taste is
umiba na.
Yeah.
Hindi na number one yung mga patawa lang. Yung number one was...
Which we will discuss in this episode soon. Patawa.
Yeah. So, kaya we're getting... Education has to be hand in hand and making sure that our people would be able to, you know, I mean, we roll out the quality content that we can. We can do it too. But we have to make sure that our population is also ready and can digest it.
On that note, thank you very much, Jhett Tolentino, for that fantastic overview of kind of a crash course on gold standard, American, Broadway, etc. But also the new gold standard being set by some of our neighbors, especially Korea.
Yeah.
And what are the lessons for the rest of the region, which we shall discuss in a separate, because I think the Philippine entertainment industry deserves its own total episode. Thank you very much,
Magaling
Jhett.
tayo, magaling
Yeah,
ang
I know.
Pinoy.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jhett.
course.
I really appreciate that. You want to shake his hands or something? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on that special episode we had with Jhett Tolentino, multi-awarded, world-class producer, not just talent, producer. So looking forward to your suggestions, comments, and of course discussions on this very important issue on the future of entertainment, future of Asians in the global entertainment industry, and of course soon to discuss the future of Philippine entertainment industry. Maraming salamat.
Real Talk